Okay.
I'm starting to record now.
Thank you. We're on Eruvin 17, Amud Aleph, near the top. Amar Vashi my kasha, dil meochi kamar. Maybe this is what Rav meant. Let's say 3 people were there. Each one got 2,000 amas, so that they needed 6,000 bikifu b'sheva, and they encircled 7,000 square amas of b'sheva mutar. Now, lo hutzrach, if they didn't need only chamesh, 5,000 square amas v'kifu b'sheva, afilu b'chamesh asur, then even the 5 will be asur. So, v'lahadik tani v'vachli ebesu saim ponui, you have to leave 2,000 square amas free and clear. My lav ponime adam, does that mean free and clear of people? Morse's law ponime kalim means they can't have utensils there, but adam, it doesn't have to be ponuya. Itma. So we said that if there's 2 people, you only get 2,000 amas each. But if there's 3 people, or 5,000 square amas for each person. Now, if you have 3, it was unlimited. So let's say shlosha v'meisa echad, you start off with 3 and 1 died. Or you start off with 2 v'nitosfu alein, and 1 added. So what operates? Rav Huna Rav Yitzchak Chadamar Shabbos Goy Remes. What was the status when the Shabbos came in? If when the Shabbos came in, there were 3, then you get the shear of 3. The Chadamar, no, diurin gorman. The number of people that are there at that time, that's what's goyrim. So even in the middle of Shabbos, if you drop from 3 to 2, it'll also change. But to stayim, I'm going to prove to you the Rav Huna Uda Amar Shabbos Keremes, that it stays 1 din when whatever happens when Shabbos comes in. Amar Rabba, Boim Rav Huna, Boim Rav Yehuda, Erev Derech Pesach. Let's say between 2 Chatzeiros, they made an eruv between the 2 openings. V'nistam Pesach, and then on Shabbos the door closed, or there was an eruv derech chalon. V'nistam chalon mau. Omar li Shabbos hoil v'hutra. Once it was permitted, the 2 chatzeiros to carry from one chotzer to the other because of the eruv, even if something changes on Shabbos, once it's hutter, it's hutter. So tistayim, so it's clear that Rav Huna holds that it's Shabbos, whatever happens on Erev Shabbos, coming into Shabbos, that's what's goyring. Lame, Rav Huna, Rav Yitzchak, Rav Yisrael, Rav Yehuda Kamiflagi. Maybe they're arguing the following. It's not. Chotzer shenifritza mishnei ruchoseha. You have a chotzer that normally you could carry, but now it opened up on 2 sides, which is problematic. Or you have a mavui that was corrected with a crossbeam or a lechi. So even in the middle of Shabbos, mutar la oser Shabbos. Since it was corrected, Erev Shabbos, going into Shabbos, it remains corrected. So even if it fell off during Shabbos, you could use it. It's only asur l'asid lavo. Next week it won't work unless you fix it. Div Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi, I mean, Im mutar la oser Shabbos, mutar l'asid lavo. If it's permitted this Shabbos, permitted forever. Im asur l'asid lavo, asur l'asid Shabbos. If it's asur next week, it's asur this week. So perhaps the same machlokas with Rav Huna and Rav Yitzchak. One says no. Lame Rav Huna Damar Rav Yehuda, Rav Yitzchak Damar Rav Yossi. Maybe each one holds like their bar plucked in the Mishnah. Armelcha Rav Huna, no. I say my din regarding Shnayim v'nitosfu or Shlosha v'meis. I feel Rabbi Yossi would agree with me. I'd kind of like a Rabbi Yossi Hassam added lemechitzas. Listen, over there, the chutzner now had 2 walls falling down. So Rabbi Yossi says it's not a good rishus anymore. Here the rishuyos are fine. It says how many people are there. So maybe Rabbi Yossi would agree with me. Rabbi Yitzchak Amar Anadam Rafil Rabbi Yehuda. Maybe Rabbi Yehuda will. I hold like him. I'd kind of like Rabbi Yehuda over there that it's okay. Over there, you don't change the number of people that lived in the Mavli. Maybe since here there's no diurni, you'll agree with me that the requirement changes based on the number of people. It means or chassis, or Erev, whether it's a cross, vertical or horizontal wall, it's all okay. That's the same thing that the Tana Kama said. It could be now Yachid B'Yishuv. The Tana only, one Tana only permits if it's one person living in the community, not a caravan. And the other mandam holds only a caravan will have this heter of like a rope wall or a vertical wall. Mishnah. Arba dvorim potru b'machna. They permitted when you're out in the camp with an army. There's the following leniencies: mevi'in eitzim mikol makom. You could bring firewood, no matter from where, and it's not considered you stole it from anybody. Uptur merchitzas yadayim. They don't have to do netilas yadayim. Number 3, midmai. Normally, you cannot buy from an Am Haaretz produce because there's a concern that maybe they didn't give trumas and maestras. But the army can eat mai, and they're potter for making eruvs. We'll see what kind of eruvs. That's eruv chatzeiros. If they want to have, they have one chutzner, you can carry between the two without an eruv. Torah Rabbanan Machna Yotzes Melchames Harishus. There are two kinds of melchames. There's melchames mitzvah, like when the Bnei Yisrael conquered the Sheva Ha'amim. That's a melchames mitzvah. But let's say when David HaMelech went to do battle to Syria, that was a melchames rishus. So Machna Yotzes Melchames Harishus Mutar Begezel Eitzim Yaveshim. They're allowed to use anybody's dried wood. If they use it wherever they are, let's say in the neighbor's field, whatever, it's not considered gezel. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Oimer, Av choinin b'chol makom. They can encamp anywhere they want. It's like eminent domain. Uv'makom shenergu sham nikborim. If a soldier dies, he's buried wherever he is. The owner, if he's in a private field, the owner of the private field can't stop him from being buried there. Okay, so the Gemara analyzes this baraisa. Mutar begezel eitzim yaveshim. They're allowed to take whatever wood they need for fire. Freit the Gemara, why do I need the Mishnah to tell me this? Haitakanta de Yoshua have. Those of us who learned Sefer Yoshua, remember the 10 takanos, we just learned it 2 weeks ago. Yoshua said if you can take firewood from a forest, you could plow in somebody's field. Remember, there was all sorts of takanos, bein adam l'chaveiro in Eretz Yisrael. So Gemara says, "Hi takanat Yoshua v'damer mar asar tznoim yisna Yoshua." He made 10 conditions that Klal Yisrael were allowed to do certain things. Shiyumarin b'chorshin u'melaktin eitzim yisudeseyim. They could take firewood from anybody. That's not a problem. Hasam, says the Gemara, B'izmi v'higi. That was only thorn bushes that he allowed. Hacha b'shayitzi. But here in the Mishnah, when it says that the army can take wood, it's even firewood, any kind of wood. V'inami hasam b'mechuborim. That means Yoshua allowed you to chop somebody's, if it was still attached to the ground, you're allowed to chop it and take it for yourself. But he didn't allow you to take, let's say somebody had already chopped the wood and it was already connected, free and clear. Here, the machna is allowed to do that. Or inami hasam balachin. Yoshua didn't allow you to take dried wood. If it's moist, you could take it. Here, even dried wood they were allowed to take. It was not considered gezel. Rabbi ben Tema Omer, They could encamp wherever they wanted, even in the middle of your field. Wherever they die, that's where they could be buried. Pshita, meis mitzvah, umeis mitzvah, kodim makomo. A stam soldier is a meis mitzvah, and any meis mitzvah acquires its place. That means lo tzricha afal gav dislay koivrin. Meaning, normally a meis mitzvah is koine its place because he doesn't have somebody to occupy with his burial. The chiddush here is by these soldiers, even if they have somebody else to bury them, he's koine his place. The Tanya. Ezeu meis mitzvah, koshen lo koivrin. A meis mitzvah is somebody who doesn't have somebody to occupy in their burial. However, koirev acher moinin knows so. If you call out and other people come, ein ze meis mitzvah. Okay, umeis mitzvah kodim makoma. Where do you see that a meis mitzvah can be buried anywhere? Vatanya moitzim meis mitzvah mutal besratya. You find a meis mitzvah, a mace that's in the middle of a road. So mefaneli yamin is stratyo small. You don't bury him right in the middle because kohanim have to travel there. You move him to the side. So where do you see that he's koine his makom? If you saw the bur who stand near, you find him on the border between a plowed field and an unplowed field. The fanel is saw the bur. You put him to the unplowed field. Soda near or soda there. Let's say you have a plowed field and a seeded field. The fanel is stand near. You move them over to the plowed field. How you stay in neros if they're both plowed or they were both seeded? Stand zeros, stand buros, so they're both nothing. So then you have a choice. But you see that the meis makom gets to be moved. Yeah, there we're talking about a border. Since you can already move him. But otherwise, if the mace is not on a border, you have to bury him where he is. He's part of the Tis Yadayim. That means washing your hands before bread. But Mayim Achronim they still have to do. They would use salt from Yam HaMelech that was very strong, and they would put it in their eye and it would blind them. So Mayim Achronim was for a health reason. To wash your fingers, you won't put salt in your eye. It's so powerful, like one drop in a huge thing will already give flavor.
Let me ask you that I mean the halacha of washing. It says the halacha that soldiers they don't have to wash before the meal, and basically they always have to wash after the meal. You don't make a brocha on after the meal, on the washing. So how can they just be? I know the brocha maybe is even the brocha on the motzi is it's the rabbanon, but how do you mevatel that?
Because the Tis Yadayim is only rabbinic.
And it's the rabbanon.
The rabbis lifted their
but washing your hands afterwards with melech sdomit, there's not even a brocha on it. It's just for health reasons.
And that's why that's choiva. That they're not potter from, because Chazal are more concerned about people's health than about the spiritual matters. And Shulchan Aruch says Anshe Tzavai Yotzin LeMilchama Pturim B'Netilas Yadayim Lifnei Hamazon.
I guess we're all in God's army now.
And it's Gam Bishar Mekomos Mesukanim. Any dangerous place, you're potter from the Tilas Yadayim. But Noitlin Yadayim La'achrav Mishum Sakonos Melach's Doimis. The Rambam, that's how the Rambam paskins, and the Shulchan Aruch. Armele Ravacha Bred Rav Ravashi Kyle Milchamai. What if you're not eating? You're measuring out salt. Armele Loma boy. Certainly you have to wash your hands because you're using salt in your hands. Then the Mishnah said midmai, they can eat dmai. Disnan machilin sanim dmai. You can even feel ani. It's also dmai is also gzeir midrabanan. So you can feed aniyim dmai. They lift the gzeir midrabanan to feed aniyim. V'sachsanya dmai. That's the soldiers that come through town that you have to house. You can feed them dmai. Amravuna Tana Beis Shammai Oimrim Ein Machilas Aniyim Dmai V'Sachsanya Dmai. Beis Shammai says no. Beis Hillel Oimrim Machilas Aniyim Dmai V'Sachsanya Dmai. We do feed them. We paskin like Beis Hillel, of course. And then they don't have to make an eruv. Armid Rav Yaviani Lo Yishar Olei Eruv Chatziros. That means, let's say they have two chatzeros side by side, and they're both Rishus HaYachid. So we make a din that you need an eruv chatzeros to carry from one to the other. So that they don't have to do. Aval eruv tchumin, but to be able to go beyond 2,000 amas chayav, and that they have to do. The Tani Rav Chia loikin al eruv tchumin debar Torah. You get malchus for eruv tchumin. So that's that, and therefore it's midoraisa, and therefore they're chayav in eruv tchumin. Maskiv Rav Yoris v'chi loikin al lav shebe'al, because it says al yetzei ish bimkomo b'yom hashvi'i. A person should not leave his place on Shabbos. Now, al is not low, like lo sochal, right? Al, where do you see get malchus for al? That's number one. It says, don't turn, if you tell me you cannot give malchus for al, and it says, don't turn to the Baal Ov and the Yedoni, which are Avodah Zarah, Chanami de Lolaki, of course you get malchus. So what was Rabbi Yochanan's problem? So Rabbi Yochanan Hachi Kashle, Lav Shenit and Lazarus Mises Bezdin. You don't understand what I meant. The Lav of Tchumim immediately is adjacent to where it says you mas. That for a certain avera you get killed on for Shabbos. Any lav that is potentially you get azar of Misas Bezdin, there's no malchus either. Aravashi miksiv al yotzi. It doesn't, al yotzi means carrying. Carrying you get Misas Bezdin, but walking beyond the tchum is not yotzi, it's al yetzeksi. So it's not Misas Bezdin. So you would get malchus. So the Rambam says, the Dasa Rambam v'go'oinim, tchum Shabbos, al pi din Torah, who shnei masar mils, 12 mile, or 12 kilometer, v'lokim min ha-Torah, yotzim menu. So you get malchus min ha-Torah. V'yesh chokin, this form shazu das Rabbi Akiva Bilvad, u'la'alocha ein eruv tchum min ha-Torah. The Ramban, the Rashba, the Rosh, we hold that the din of eruv tchumim is not midoraisa. Haralach mavoi, haralach mavoi, haralach mavoi. New Mishnah, new Perek, Oisin Pasim. Oisin Pasim le Biros. Biros are these wells. And we said that you can, the wells were in the middle of Rosh Hashanah. If you put a pail into this bore, into this well, which is a Rosh Hashanah, because it's 4 by 4 amas and 10 tvachim deep, it's a Rosh Hashanah. So you're transferring from the Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. So you could build some walls around it, but they had to bring their animals into there to drink. So they got leniencies that they could have openings of only 10 amas, according to one shita, 13 and a third amas, according to the other shita. And just, you don't have to have full walls. You just have to have some corner posts called diyumdim. So oisin pasim biros arba diyumdim nira kishmona. You have 4 on each corner, but it looks like 8 because it's like a right angle. The Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Meir Omer Shmona, you need to put one board in the middle between each corner board. So it's Shmona Nirim Kishtei Masar. Arba Diyumdim, the 4 corners, Varba Pshutin, and 4 simple sticks that are placed in the middle. Goyven Asar Tfachim V'Roch Von Shisha. They have to be 10 tall and 6 tfachim, right? 3 and 3 on either side. V'oivim kol shehu, any thickness. Ubeinem kamolei shtei revoka shel shlosh shel shbok div Rab Meir. It has to be able to put two teams of 3 bakar in there, and that's 10 amas. Rabbi Yehuda shel arba, which is 13 and a third amas. Kshuros v'lo mutaros, tied together. Achas nechneses v'achas yotze. One goes in, one goes out. Period. Mutar lakriv la be'er. You can come close to the well. As long as the head and the body of the animal is inside that pasim, then the animal and the be'er are both in Mishusayot. Mutter. Mutter lachi kol shuhu. You can make it bigger. Make it a bigger area of Vachi Yarbe Pasim, as long as you meet the criteria where there's never 10 amas more. There's more than 10. You can make it, no matter how, there's no limit how big you can make it, as long as you have enough boards. Rabbi Yehuda, no, there's a limit at Beis Yosayim, 5,000 square amas. Amru, lo amru, Beis Yosayim, el lagina v'lakarfe. We've started Yud Ches, Amid Aleph. Yud Ches, Amid Aleph. So, lo amru, Beis Yosayim, el lagina v'lakarfe. When did they say there's a limit to 5,000 square amas? When it's a piece of property connected to a garden or to like a corral or like a place where you store wood. If you have a house or a corral with animals connected, it can be, there's no shear how big it could be. It means 100,000 square. It means a huge amount. You can make these walls larger as long as you meet the criteria that you never have an opening more than 10 amas. Let us say the mission we just learned is not like Chananya. The Tanya Oisin Pasin Labor, the Chavon Lashiara. You can make these boards for a bore, which is not a well, it's just a water hole. And you make a rope wall, like we said, parallel ropes for a caravan. However, Chananya Oimer Chavon Labor v'lo Pasin. He says you can't use Pasin for a bore. So you see, this is not like Chananya, our Mishnah. Filu Teva Chananya, because bor l'chud, be'er l'chud. Our Mishnah doesn't talk about bor, just talks about a be'er. So in a Chanami, perhaps our Chananya believes that a be'er does work. He didn't say the reverse, that you make a rope wall for a water hole and possibly that for Chananya there's no difference, bor or be'er, whether it's a real well or a water hole, which you dump water in, chavolin in, pasin lo. He requires a rope wall, but not these boards. Lema mastis the look at Chananya. Feel tema Chananya. We could say it's Chananya. L'mayde komer Tanakama komadale. He's responding to the Tanakama. Lema mastis the look Rabbi Kiva. Maybe our mission is not Rabbi Kiva. This is not echad be'er harabim. Whether the be'er is owned by the public, ubor harabim, or a water hole owned by the public, ube'er hayochid, or a well owned by a private individual. In those cases, oislam pasim, we have the heter of the boards. Aval bor hayochid, but a privately owned water hole, oislam machitza gvos. Then you need full walls. You don't get a leniency. They're Rabbi Kiva. So obviously our mission is not Rabbi Kiva. In laboros lo. Afilu tem Rabbi Kiva. No, our mission could also be Rabbi Kiva. Be'er ma'im chaim, a live well, the psikale, loshna de rabim, loshna de yochid. Then it makes no difference whether it's owned by a public or owned by a yochid. And so therefore, such a case was mentioned Ketani in our Mishnah. Bor mechunsim, but the private bore that's not, you just, a water hole that you dump water in it for storage, the lo psikale lo ketani. Leim masis look Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba. Maybe our mission is not like Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba. This is not. Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba Oimer ein oisin pasal be'er rabim bilvad. You could only make pasim for a public be'er. In our Mishnah, we're learning it makes no difference whether it's owned by the public or a yachid. My biros to alma. He's using the standard like fish or animals. He's saying biros. He's not saying this, and this not. And therefore, it's always, perhaps, our Mishnah is also talking about only biros to Rabbim, which is similar to Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Now, my diumdim. What is this word diumdim? Amar Rav Yirmiyah ben Elazar dio amudim. Duo from Greek, right? Du means two, like deuterium, Deuteronomy, right? Deuteronomy, second speech, right? De in French is two, and right. So two posts, because each corner has to have a right angle of two posts. It's not an awesome. All figs are parted from Dmai, except for Dyuftera. What's Dyuftera? It has 2 harvests of figs per year. Again, the word dieu means 2. And in the final example, Amar Rav Yirmiyah ben Elazar dieu partsuf panim hayu lo Adam Harishon. Adam Harishon was created back to back, male and female. And they basically had 2 faces, male and female. Shenemar achor v'kadim tzartar. I made you front and back. Ksiva even Hashem lakim esat seila. Hashem built the rib. Ravu Shmuel Chadamar Partsuf means he divided the 2 bodies. Chadamar Zonav, no. The seila was the tail, and she was made from a tail. Bishmal Andamar Partsuf. I understand the Mandamar that says it was back to back. The pasuk says he made us front and back. Elamandamar Zonav, my Achar v'Karim Sartani. Ravami, Damravami, Achar l'Maisa Breishis. He was the last person made in creation, last act of the 6 days. But v'Kedem leParonus, he was the first one punished in the Mabul, because it says Me Adam ad Behema. So Bishma Achar l'Maisa Breishis. Lo Ivred Mali Shabta. He was the last creation because he wasn't made until Erev Shabbos. Elav Kodim Lepronos Mahi doesn't mean he's the first one to be punished. Mishum Klala, when he was cursed. No. Habetchila Niskal al Nachash. First the snake was cursed. Uvasof Niskal al Chava. Uvasof Niskal al Adam. Ela Lamabul. It was by the Mabul. The Ksiva Yimachas Kol Yikum Hashav Ne'adama. Me Adam ve'ad Beima. So the human being was punished first. Bishmal Mandamar parts of Vayitzer train Yudin. So it's a double creation. Elamandamar Zonav, my Vayitzer. What's Vayitzer have to do with Zonav? Kiroshim Ben Pazi, Damarshim Ben Pazi. Oily mi Yitzri, oily mi Yoitzri. Vai mir, Vai is to the one who created me. Woe is to me, because of my Yetzer Hara. That's the double Yud. Bishma Manamar Partsuf. I understand the one who says that we were created back to back. That's why it says Adam was created male and female. Elamandamar Zonav. What's Zachar Nekeva Baram? Ravavo Rami. Ksiv Zachar Nekeva Baram. It says we created male and female. Ksiv B'Tselem Elokim Bara Oto. So what's Oto? Means Batchila Altav Machshav Livrosh Shnayim. First, he wanted to create 2 creatures at the same, at one time. In the end, he only created 1, but it was a back-to-back male and female that he later divided. Bishmal Mandamar Partsuf. If he divided the 2 people back-to-back, he had to fill in the flesh from the division. Elamandamar Zonav. What flesh is he filling in if it's the tail? Wherever he cut the tail off, you have to fill in this flesh there. So building, you have to build up the tail. El mandam are parts of what building? He just had to divide the two, male and female. My vayiven l'chrav Shem ben Nasya. The Darsh of vayiven Hashem akimas at Selah. Melamed shekila kadosh baruch hu l'chava v'yavil l'Rishon. Hashem braided her hair and brought her to Adam Arishon. Shekain b'krach hayam korim l'kliyasa b'niyasa. They call braiding binyan. Dover acher vayiven Hashem Elokim. Arm Rav Chizda Rav Lavasisa Tam Melamed shebena kadosh baruch hu l'chava kibinyan otzer. He created women like a storehouse. It's wide on the bottom and narrow on the top. So, like a storehouse when you put potatoes in there, whatever. The opening to put it in is narrow. So the same thing here. Make it easy for childbirth. Adam, he brought it to human being. He was like the best man for Adam Arishon. That means if a very important person is asked to be an usher for anybody, even if he's smaller than him, in dignity, you should do it because you see HaKadosh Baruch Hu served as the usher for Adam. Now, Mandam are parts of the one who said we were created face back to back. Who walked in front? The male walks in front. The Tanya you can't walk behind a woman. Even if his wife. In fact, this Damal Gesher, if you meet up with a bridge, you should stay off on the side. Whoever walks behind a woman, especially near the river where she has to pick up her skirt to be able to cross it, it's not sneeze. So he loses his chelik lo'olam haba. Okay, I'm going to, Mario, we'll pick up tomorrow in the middle of Yud Ches.
Another days.
Yeah. Okay?
What time?
Tomorrow will be 9 o'clock because we have Tzvika Shir at 8 o'clock.
All right.
Okay, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laila Tov.